Back on CBS Sports HQ, QB3 in this year's draft, expected to be QB1 at some point in New England. The learning curve could be steep for the new Pats QB Drake May, but a commitment beyond 3 overall with the Pats retooling an underperforming offense from a year ago. Back in the mix alongside Wilson and Rick Spielman, I'm your host Joe Musso here offering draft grades and some analysis beyond it. Drake May, no secret at 3. The secret was, would the Patriots trade out of that pick? We had a lot of interest in it, but they stand pat, turned down a whole bunch of ones, and got their quarterback of the future. That and beyond, how do they grade?
I think the fact that they stood pat is a good thing. I gave him a B- overall, not because of Drake May. That's the pick you have to make it number 3 there. Rick, I'd imagine you're answering the phone calls, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not competing consistently, even if Jacoby Brissett's your guy for 1 year.
Especially if the owner's sitting right next to you saying, take Drake May.
That solves a lot of issues. You just unplug the phone and pretend like you're talking, knowing full well.
Yeah. No, okay, well, yeah. No.
But where things changed my opinion a little bit, Rick, and we've talked about this on the podcast. They traded down, passed on Ladd McConkey early in the second, took Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk's a really good player out of Washington, but I think Ladd McConkey offers more immediate productivity. We'll see. We'll find out together. They circled back and got Javon Baker, the Alabama transfer to UCF, and he offers some downfield potential. I understand the picks in between there along the offensive line. I thought that's about where those players would go off the board. And I love the Jaheim Bell pick at the very end there, the tight end who has a ton of upside, wasn't consistent either at South Carolina or when he transferred to Florida State. But when you're a team that's in last place in this division, does Joe Milton make sense when you have other needs?
Yeah, no. The reason they probably took him was because of Drake May, because of Brissett, but he can potentially be on your practice squad.
Okay.
And if you have enough quarterbacks in that room, there's always injuries that occur. Look at, now they didn't spend 3 first-round picks like San Francisco did. Yeah. They gave up a 6th-round pick. Maybe down the road they can flip it for a 4th-round pick, especially if he plays well in the preseason. Everybody knows and done their work on him. So it may be just a trade asset or just another asset in your toolbox that you can potentially flip for a better draft pick.
Yeah, in the 6th round, building out some depth there in the quarterback room. I'm so intrigued by this division, and it was last year having the conversation of could the Dolphins catch the Bills. It's a different looking Bills team. You got Aaron Rodgers back for the Jets. The Dolphins looking to get back to that place and then some. But let's go to the Jets next because they got some help for the quarterback in Aaron Rodgers as we look to get more than those 4 plays we saw a season ago and hopefully in good health here. This is a team that's ready to win right now. How did they add to that group in your eyes?
Well, we all thought that maybe Aaron Rodgers was going to have a conversation with the higher-ups, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, and target a skill position player, whether it were Brock Bowers or Rome Odunze, should he be there. We don't know what those conversations were, but it didn't matter because Joe Douglas took the best player available in Ola Fashanu, fills an enormous need. He's going to have a chance to play right away. And then you get Malachi Corley. He's not going to beat you down the field. That's not his game, but you have Garrett Wilson for that. But he provides an alternative in the middle of the field. He's a guy you get the ball in his hands into the line of scrimmage, and he runs through arm tackles on his way to the end zone. And Rick, you might even argue they took 3 running backs in this class, if that's how you classify Malachi Corley in the middle of the field, because Braylon Allen was the next pick. He's a big, strong running back. Didn't run particularly well time-wise, but you see him outrunning defenders down the field. Then they got Isaiah Davis, another running back that I liked out of South Dakota State, added depth to the quarterback position with Jordan Travis. And perhaps the most exciting pick in terms of a young man we didn't see a lot because he played in Canada, Quantez Stiggers, who played at Lane College, went to the Shrine Bowl, and got himself drafted in round 5.
Yeah, and he's a tremendous athlete and another one of those guys you take a swing at late in the round because he has unique physical ability and let the coaches try to develop him, see if he can hit on something. But I liked what Joe Douglas did. I thought if they went Brock Bowers, for example, that they're just pushing all their chips in this year and then everything's going to blow up. But I thought each one of these picks, the Fashanu, Corley, Allen, were also building for the future too. So I thought he did a great job balancing between that line of winning now, but also not leaving the cupboard bare next year.
Next up, the aforementioned, Fish, the Miami Dolphins, adding to a rush group that saw injury a year ago really derail what that defense was early. I mean, you lost a linebacker, you lost 2 edges, you lost just about everything throughout that season for this Miami defense. Chop Robinson adding not just depth, but firepower when at full health for this rush group.
A-, and This team is all about athleticism, Rick. Even in a league full of great athletes, it feels like Miami Dolphins has the market cornered. And Chop Robinson, Patrick Paul, I get those selections. I think I like Patrick Paul a little more than you did along the offensive line. But let's start with Jalen Wright, who is going to be probably the 4th or 5th fastest player on that roster somehow, even though he ran in the 4.3s. Malik Washington gives you juice in the slot. He had a great season for a UVA team that wasn't very good, if we're being honest, but he stood out. And even Mo Kamara, who was drafted in between those two, the edge rusher out of Colorado State, he has some juice as well. So it feels like we're getting all the athletes we can. We're going to stockpile the edge position because we have some injuries there, both early and late, and then we're going to get skill position players and let Tua just decimate these guys with the short passes.
Yeah, and I love what Chris Greer did, especially with the edge rushers, because you got Phillips coming off an Achilles, you got Chubb, who's had durability concerns. They lost Van Ginkel up to go to Minnesota. So they need to get edge rush help. And Anthony Weaver's a new defensive coordinator down there. He's going to implement that Baltimore Ravens defense. All these type of picks are what Anthony Weaver wants to see and what type of players he wants on that defensive side of the ball. Not Vic Fangio, because he was only there 1 year. This draft was tailored towards Anthony Weaver and the style of play they're going to be on defense. And the other one I just want to mention, Patrick Paul, you're right, I don't like him as much as you do. So good point there.
Okay. What else you got?
And Jalen Wright, who made me.
You loved him.
I loved him coming out, and I don't know if there's going to be ever a faster team assembled. I mean, look at what you got. You got Mostert, you got A-Chain, you got Wright, you got Hill, you got Waddle. Is there a team out there faster or ever been assembled as fast as the Miami Dolphins are right now?
Well, Mike McDaniel, a big part of the ascension and the building of the San Francisco 49ers as the run game coordinator, a mind that was valued in that room. And you see speed ruling the day now in Miami. We'll see what they look like and if they can stay healthy this season. Can I take you back to Cap Hack? Can we go back to Cap Hack?
Yeah,
The Buffalo Bills were in Cap Hack, and that's why the roster is going to look a whole lot different next year. Also getting some of that descent out of the room, if you will, but you also lose a top-tier target in Stephon Diggs. But there to fill that role, or maybe the role of Gabe Davis, looking to do a little bit of both, is their first pick. It was round 2, pick 1, Keon Coleman, the wide receiver out of Florida State, headlining a handful of picks on both sides of the ball here. Ryan, how do they grade?
A-, and I raised my hand and plead guilty. Rick told me to exercise patience in round 1 when the Bills traded down twice. Bills fans nor I listened in the moment, but I now apologize because they got Keon Coleman, who is going to be a really good football player, replace a Gabe Davis type. He's only 21. He's going to get better. And then you just keep going down the list, Rick, and you're getting guys that are really good at great value. Dwayne Carter, they get a center in Van Pran Granger out of Georgia. Javon Solomon is a sawed-off edge rusher, 2-point stance guy out of Troy that we saw at the Senior Bowl. And I actually love the Daquan Hardy pick, maybe a little more than where they got Cole Bishop at 60. But the value, Rick, feels like just time and time again, Brandon Beane apparently knows a little bit more than I do about putting together a roster.
Yeah, no, and he is, to me, dealt with Brandon. We did the Stephon Diggs trade together, and I have the utmost respect for him and his personnel. And when you sit in that chair, it's like everybody, it's just like instant reaction all the time. It's like, I don't think we play until maybe September.
Right.
I don't know if we were playing next week or not. I know the season started then. So as the great Aaron Rodgers said, relax, people. We got this. Let him do his job. I thought he did a great job checking off all the needs as he went down through his roster, replaced everything that he had to let a lot of very key players go that were great leaders, and he brought in guys that are going to replace those guys and contribute to the Buffalo Bills next year.
Would you ever, going home, you go home Thursday night, long night, you go to bed as soon as you get home. In the morning, are you reading the newspaper to see what people are saying about the Vikings in the first round, or you don't care?
You know, to get us serious here for a second.
Oh, okay, I'm ready for this.
Yeah. I didn't pay attention to it, but when you don't do something the fans want to do, and you come home and your daughter's crying because everybody's attacking her on social media and what a dumb nitwit your dad is. I hate to see that for the kids, because people don't realize you can give me everything you want, okay? That's my job. That's part of what you sign up, okay, the criticism. But when you go attack family members and they attack your kids on their social media accounts, what the heck's your dad doing? That's where I think it gets, where it does get upsetting.
That is a heady weight to bear for these executives who are just trying to put together teams that can see success. The Bills' success limited by the Kansas City Chiefs. And Those two ended up on the phone together over the last 3 days as well. We will go there next, but first a look at the odds to win that division. It does still belong to Buffalo, according to our friends at FanDuel. That's 1.5 to 1, Rick. Plus 150, the Bills to win the division.
Take your breath.
So was that $1 for 150 bucks?
Well,
I'll give you $1 to put on for me,
We're going to sort it out by day's end. The Dolphins expected to be right there at the top as well. The Jets at plus 240, presenting some value to those who believe in East Rutherford. Pats, work to do.